Hey there, I hope you're doing well. My name is Adam and today we're going to look at some more Reddit stories. If you enjoy Reddit stories, consider liking, subscribing, and maybe hitting that notification bell too. Let's get started with today's first story. Much love everyone. Today's first story comes from Sister made my husband cheat while I was pregnant, so I cut her off. I'm 34, female and a new mom to a 2-month-old baby girl. Motherhood has changed a lot for me, but the most evident change I could find is in my marriage. I've been married for over 2 years now. Me and my husband shared a very healthy relationship. But with pregnancy kicking in, I feel we have grown apart. You see, I got pregnant right after our first anniversary. It wasn't planned, but I was happy to see those 2 lines because I thought it was in the perfect age and state of having a baby. We had our own house. Paul and I were earning well. There were some responsibilities, like Paul was saving to buy a home for his parents and I was saving to start something of our own, but responsibilities would always be there, one thing or the other, so I considered my pregnancy just on point. However, my husband, Paul, 37, male, doesn't seem to be very excited about the news. When I asked him if he was not happy about being a father, he said he was happy, just that he was surprised by the sudden news throughout my pregnancy. I got quite mixed signals from him. Some days he was just so loving and caring and wouldn't let me move a glass, and on some days he looked so disinterested and wouldn't even check on me. I had a difficult pregnancy with severe nausea, headache, indigestion and symptoms. You name it, I had it during those 40 weeks. I won't say Paul was rude or evil to me, but I felt he was not as involved as he should have been. For example, I used to visit my gynecologist alone until my 5th month. He joined me after I fought with him that he was careless. He said that I never asked him to join me. Does this need to be asked? You know, I've always been an independent woman and never relied on Paul for anything. I'm a go-getter, and whenever I used to fight with him about being careless, he was like, you always take care of your stuff by yourself. If you needed me, why don't you ask me? It was bothering me. I spoke to some of my friends and they suggested that I stop having expectations. After seeing those cute couple reels from social media, they were right. I was seeing a lot of those cute pregnant couple videos of how the husbands pamper their pregnant wives to the core. Those were raising my expectations. I tried my best to do whatever I could to minimize my mood swings. The pregnancy period ended somehow, and I'm blessed with an angel baby girl. I thought Paul would become an involved father. After seeing our daughter, he was happy with the baby and spent time with her. But he was being cold towards me. I dealt with painful labor and postpartum depression. I'm still suffering from that depression, but Paul doesn't care. He says he cares, but his actions don't show that. I don't see any effort coming from him. Still now I'm facing the same issue. Whenever I complain to him or fight with him, he says that I'm playing the victim and unnecessarily blowing up the whole situation. I don't think I'm doing any of that. I tried having multiple confrontations with him regarding the same, but he just doesn't acknowledge that there is a problem. This anxiety is killing me. Everyone thinks that it is my mood swings and postpartum, but how do I make them understand that the problem is beyond my mood swings? Has anyone faced something similar, or is it really just my mood swings, as everyone says? First of all, congratulations, OP. Motherhood is a roller coaster of emotions, and it sounds like you've been through a lot. It's not uncommon for major life changes like a baby to bring about shifts in relationships. It's crucial for Paul to recognize the emotional toll this is taking on you, and for both of you to work together in finding a solution. You deserve understanding, empathy, and support during this transformative time. Update 1: Thanks for all the virtual hugs, you sweet people. Addressing the most common comment on my post: is my husband cheating on me? Trust me, that's the first thing that comes to anyone's mind when your husband behaves in a cold manner, especially during pregnancy. This was my first thought which came to my mind when Paul behaved weirdly with me, and in my case my doctor had strictly advised me against having sex during pregnancy because of certain complications. Initially I thought that was the reason why Paul was aloof. I confronted him 100 times if this was the reason he was upset, and he said no, it didn't matter, and it was a small thing that we were doing to have a healthy pregnancy. In fact, whenever I used to be upset that my doctor had forbidden me to not have sex while I saw other women enjoying their high libido during pregnancy, Paul used to talk me out through this, that it was a matter of just a few months. You see how confusing his behavior now. When I look back, I'm just amazed how he was able to pull his act together. He acted so concerned, so thoughtful, all this while when in reality he was cheating on me at my back. Yes, you guys were right, my guts were right. Of late I found Paul texting someone until late in the night. I got suspicious because he acted secretive, you know, like always guarding his phone, keeping it in silent mode, and deliberately keeping the screen upside down. When I was around I wouldn't have noticed these things if I didn't find him up until 3 on a Friday night. We both went to sleep at our usual time, but my daughter woke up around 2:30. I fed her and put her back to sleep, but she was creating such a fuss to sleep in her crib. So I tucked her in my arms and laid down on my bed. I'm guessing Paul didn't realize that I was still up. He slowly pulled his phone from under his pillow and was texting someone. He was facing the other side and the phone screen was facing towards me. I thought about taking a peek at his screen to see whom he was texting, but just then my baby woke up and Paul hurriedly put the phone back under his blanket and pretended to sleep. That was the moment I realized that no matter what he said, he was definitely up to something. I didn't want to have any confrontation with him without any evidence. We have had multiple conversations before and he never acknowledged that our marriage was a sham. A mere confrontation would lead to nothing for the next few days. I tried to catch hold of his phone, but God, he used to keep it so guarded that it was just not possible for me to even touch his phone. He used to carry his phone to the washroom. This wasn't a new thing though, he always used to do it. He said he watched the news while in there and played songs in the shower, so checking his phone was not a viable option for me at all. Also, so I didn't know his password, I went for the next best option, email. We have a common PC at home, but it was mostly used by Paul. When he wasn't home I crept into the PC as expected. He was logged in through his email ID. His email ID had the details of all sorts of activities he was up to, his shopping details, which he was showering on his mistress, the fancy restaurant bills, the hotel check-in details, and everything. I got everything but could not find the details of his affair partner. Even the hotel bookings were done in the name of Paul alone. I even tried to call the hotel and get the details of the extra guest, but it didn't work. I really don't know how to get into the details of it. I'm so exhausted with this information, but I also don't want him to have any easy escape. I need solid evidence of his cheating with a baby and tons of responsibilities around it. All these are just so overwhelming I can't help but break down every now and then. I'm so sorry to hear that you're going through all this. Discovering infidelity is such an overwhelming and emotionally draining experience, especially with the added stress of having a baby. Other responsibilities. Take things one step at a time and don't hesitate to lean on those who care about you. Update 2. It turned out the most beloved person in my life was the reason behind my misery. My husband and my sister, my own sister, who I have been feeding for all these years. I have a younger sister. She is 12 years younger than me. Never in my wildest dreams could I have imagined her cheating with my husband. It wasn't just cheating. It was that which lured my husband into her pants. I'm not saying this because my husband has manipulated me about this innocence. He is not innocent, but he wasn't the one who made the first move. He resisted it. I saw all the chats from where all this started. I feel so disgusted to call her sister. Now let's call her what she is, a W. So that night before I wrote my last update, I had called her to tell her what I had found. Yes, dumb me. Right from the time my relationship soured, I used to share all my problems with her, and she was playing with me and backstabbing me. All this while that night, when Paul came back home, he straight went over to his PC. It was as if he knew that I had used it. He logged in and yelled at me that I had tampered with his inbox. I was shocked because there was absolutely no history of me using his PC. I outrightly denied him because in my mind I got the hint of who that was. His phone was continuously buzzing. I can't explain that moment. It was so bizarre. I was feeling so dizzy. He was yelling at me for spying on him, and in my mind I was just thinking, how could my sister betray me? He went outside to answer the call. I knew it was her, but I was so numb that I didn't even try to hear what he was talking about. He was loud. If I just went out of the room, I could have heard him from the room. I could hear him saying, "I don't care, I don't give an F to what will happen to you." I know that girls cheating with their sister's husband is not that rare. In my case, it was unbelievable for me because of the dynamics we shared. She was 12 years younger, so right from the time she was born I was overprotective of her. I was her third guardian. After my parents, when I started earning, I became her ATM. My dad had retired by then, so I took up the responsibility of her education and literally for her upbringing. Paul is 15 years older to her, and she used to consider him as an elder brother figure. How could I ever imagine that this little sister could do such things? The next morning I went to my parents' house. She was sleeping. Yes, she still stays with her parents because she doesn't earn. She has yet to find her passion. Coming autumn she's enrolling for her master's, and guess who's paying for it? Me. While she was sleeping I logged into her email on my iPad. It wasn't difficult. She was still using the same email ID I created for her when she was in her teens. I just needed the one-time password, which I checked through the locked screen of her phone. Then through that I accessed all of her backed up WhatsApp chats. I transferred everything to my email ID. I also logged into her Instagram and Facebook using the email ID and fetched everything I could. It didn't take time. Besides, it was still 9 o'clock in the morning and she doesn't wake up before 12 o'clock. My mother was babysitting my daughter while I was gathering the evidence. She was suspicious to find me doing something in my sister's room while she was asleep, but my mom never questioned me. She knows that I won't do anything wrong to anyone after I was done. Taking the evidence I left, I didn't erase any footprints of tampering. I wanted her to know that she could not outsmart me any further. I came home and read all those thousands of message exchanges between them. She was eyeing Paul right from the time we got married. It started by sending him funny reels, then flirty ones, and then the seductive ones. I'm not trying to defend Paul, but I saw he was just responding with laughing or heart emoticons to those reels and videos and nothing else. Things escalated between them during my pregnancy. When my doctor abstained us from a sexual relationship, I told my sister about it and she used this opportunity. There were just hundreds of messages and memes she sent to him, which meant that he was sexually starving during my pregnancy. She also sent him pictures of herself. It started with normal pictures trying out new clothes, and then she moved to bold ones, showing off her assets that which played out smartly. She wanted to check Paul's reaction with the normal pictures, memes, and reels when she saw that he didn't tell me. She moved to bold ones when they fully got indulged. There were messages from Paul where he was scared of ruining our marriage and asking her to stop all this. Of course, this cannot be an excuse to forgive him. I'm never going to do that. Paul did betray me. There were thousands of moments where he could just stop all these, but he didn't. But more than Paul, the first feel betrayed by my sister. I remember when my daughter was born, everyone in the family teased her that now I was going to love my daughter more than my sister, but I promised her that I would never stop loving her. But now I do. I hate her. When she woke up, she blasted my phone with her calls soon. After that, I got a call from Paul but ignored it. Within an hour, he was home. This time he wasn't defensive. He was like, "So you know everything?" He tried to explain that he resisted, but it was she who forced him into it. He said his biggest mistake was not informing me about her advances in the initial days. Later, he gave in, thinking it was too late to inform me. I didn't say a word. I just asked him to call, that I wanted to hear from her. Why did she do that? I called my parents as well when they arrived. I deliberately took my own sweet time to put my daughter to sleep before talking to them. I wanted them both to feel the anxiety. My parents got the vibe of what was going to happen, because my mom saw me doing something in that W's room in the morning. I went outside and asked her to confess. She just kept crying and said sorry. It was a mistake. My parents asked me what was happening, but I told them to ask her. Instead, I compelled her to speak out what she had done in detail, starting from all the seductions. It was humiliating to her. I felt satisfied. I was suffering in my relationship for months, and now it was her turn to suffer. She confessed that she was attracted to Paul because of the gentleness, not only that she wanted him because he earned well. She was like, "I was done being your puppet. You were bossing me around because you provided for me, so I wanted to have Paul so that I could have everything you have, and I don't need your money." My mother slapped her for saying this. Yet she continued telling me how disgusted she used to feel when taking money from me, but she had no other choice. I asked my parents to take her out and that I have no sister. From that day, I disowned her completely. My parents tried to calm me down because they understood the repercussions. If I was disowning her, I'm no longer going to provide for her. She was about to join a master's course, which I was funding. I'm definitely going to stop that. My parents were also worried that now I would not pay for any of her needs and it would come on them because that was jobless. They insisted that we sit and talk, but I was losing my mind on seeing her witch face. I told them to take her away before I strangled her. After they left, Paul tried his best to defend himself, saying how much he resisted and all that. I said I didn't care how much time it took to take off his pants for that W. The bottom line was that he cheated and I cannot forgive a cheater. I told him to pack his belongings and leave and that the divorce papers would reach him soon. He tried all sorts of ways to talk me out through this, but I was adamant about kicking him out of the house. He packed his stuff and left the house because he didn't have any other choice. I didn't let him touch my baby. He requested me to let him hold the baby before he left, but I didn't let him enter my daughter's room. He was always an absent father. He didn't care about her when she was in my womb, nor did he care about her after she was born. I didn't want him to shower fake tears when all of this was over. Later that evening my mom showed up. She said she was there to support me emotionally. She was devastated that I had kicked Paul out of my house and was planning on divorcing me. She told me to reconsider my decision because apparently my sister seduced him into this, while he was resisting her. I said the same thing to my mom, that he might have resisted, but ultimately he gave in. He had many opportunities to confront me before giving in, but he didn't. I wasn't in the mood to buy that excuse. This happened 2 days ago. My mom is staying with me because I'm just so mentally distraught to think straight. She tries to pacify me, but I'm just waiting for the divorce papers to arrive and I kick Paul out of my life. My sister wanted to have everything I have. I'll ensure that she is never going to have half of what I have. Wow. This is absolutely gutting to hear. OP, I'm so sorry. The decision to disown your sister and pursue a divorce demonstrates your resilience and commitment to maintaining your self-respect. Update 3. This post just blew up unexpectedly after my last update. Thanks for all the love and support. It really means a lot. I'm in a much better mental state than I was in the last 1 year. It took 20 days for the divorce papers to reach Paul. I took full custody of my daughter. That goes without saying. I got the house in which we were living because I paid for more than half of the mortgage since I was earning equal to what Paul was, if not more. I didn't get alimony. Neither did I ask for it. Getting rid of him and ripping him off of the house and from his daughter's life was good enough revenge for me. Paul and I were planning to quit our jobs eventually in the future, to start something of our own, and I was saving money for that. Paul would get a penny from that savings. Thank God it was not there in that joint account. Paul was saving separately to buy a house for his parents. Good luck with his parents' house, his own house and his business venture. I also got to know something hilarious after my divorce. My sister thought that Paul earned significantly more than me and that I was showering his money to provide for her education and other stuff. She wanted to have Paul so that she could cut me off from between and get the money directly from Paul. The joke's on her. Paul is knee-deep, drowned in other responsibilities than caring for his mistress and providing for her education. When Paul got to know the real intention of her seduction, he was the first one to despise her and run away from her. My parents tried to subtly convince me not to cut off my sister, financially, especially her master's program fund, but I didn't entertain it. I told them up front that I paid for her college and she is a college graduate and she should be capable enough to move her butt and earn her living or fund her higher education. They didn't force me further. As for her concern, she never showed her face to me again. Neither do I want to see her again. I have blocked her so that her picture doesn't show up from here and there on social media. The last I spoke to my mom, she told me that they had given an ultimatum for her to find a job for herself, as they no longer could bear her expenses of overpriced food items and clothing. I'm glad they did. She needs to understand the value of money. As for Paul, I have no idea about him during our divorce. He was living with his parents. His mother calls me sometimes to check on my daughter and ask for her pictures, and I gladly oblige. She has always been nice and sweet to me. So I just don't want to punish them for what Paul has done. Currently, I'm just happy and busy raising my daughter. She is learning to speak mommy in a gibberish way. She never fails to amaze me with her new skill every single day, and I'm enjoying every bit of it. My maternity leave is ending this month. I've taken an extension for another month. I'm yet to finalize a full-time nanny to take care of my princess. While I'm at work, wish me luck. It's difficult, but I'm confident that I and my daughter would sail through this. Your financial independence and smart decisions regarding savings and joint accounts reflect your determination to build a secure future for yourself and your daughter. Moreover, it's heartening to see you enjoying the precious moments with your daughter and finding joy in her everyday milestones, continuing to focus on the beauty in life. It far outshines the ugliness. Balancing work and motherhood can be challenging, but with your positive outlook and determination, it sounds like you're ready to face the next chapter. What do you make of all this? I'm going to turn this one over to you. What do you make of this situation? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and as always, a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart for getting involved in today's stories. Your love, support, and time mean the world to me. So, thank you so much for being part of this. I really appreciate your time. I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.